Well, welcome to another episode of Digging Deeper. We are here today celebrating after our Easter Sunday services just a couple days ago. And we're so glad that you have tuned in with us, whether you're on the app, whether you're on YouTube, wherever you're listening or watching from. Welcome to Digging Deeper. I'm here today with a few of the team next to me. I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves so everybody knows who everybody is.
Great. Well, I am Anthony. I am the youth pastor here. Been on here a few times, obviously, for Digging Deeper, but excited to talk about Easter and Good Friday.
I'm Mariah, our next gen pastor. And just a note on Anthony, if you don't recognize him, it's because he's wearing his hat again. Yep. On Easter, no hat.
I church it up from time to time.
Wow.
I've seen Anthony not wear a hat twice now.
It's
Easter and Christmas.
Easter and Christmas.
It's really like off. I'm like, what's happening?
Some people wear suits on Easter and Christmas. Anthony just takes his hat off.
When I take the hat off, it's funny because a lot of the older people in the congregation are like, "You're so handsome," and like want to pinch my cheek, but then all the students avoid me. And then I put the hat on and everyone else avoids me, and all the students
So it's like a cape. It's like your Superman cape.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Awesome.
I'm a hero, some would say, I guess.
I love it. My name is Megan. I am one of the next, The Next Steps coordinator. Blah, I couldn't think of what it's called. Yeah, so one of the Next Steps coordinators.
Yes. Beautiful. Well, this past weekend, what an incredible time we had at both our Good Friday gathering and our Easter services. We had 3 Easter services on Sunday morning, and we had a really phenomenal Good Friday service on Friday night. And so what we thought we would do today is we would just take some time and reflect on some of the great stories and incredible things that happened over the weekend. And so I'm going to go ahead and hand it off I want to hand it off to Mariah first, actually, if that's cool, because on Easter Sunday morning, we had a full team. We have a basketball sort of area, fenced-in area in the back behind our building, and we had a full team step up in a really incredible way, and I'm sure Mariah wants to share about it, so I'm going to throw it to her.
Yeah, we're going to start out by shouting out Sarah McCauley.
Come on,
Sarah and Chris McCauley.
Yes.
Every time I text her, I'm like, hey, Sarah, I have an idea for you.
Uh-huh.
She always calls back. And you think at this point she'd stop calling back, but she still calls back. So I was like, Sarah, listen, we want to turn the whole basketball court into this like Akon extravaganza for the kids. Extravaganza. See what I did there?
Extravaganza.
Thank you.
I saw that.
And she says, okay, I'm in. What's my budget? And they got to work. So they had a team. There was probably 20 people here on Saturday from 1 to 4, and they worked so fast and so hard. We finished in 1 hour.
Nice.
We scheduled 3 hours.
Nice.
And then they came back at 6 a.m.
Ooh, that's
So
early.
the first part of the team arrived at 5:30 a.m., Sarah and Chris, and then everyone else arrived at 6. And by 7:30, we had this incredible Easter like basketball court. It was amazing. It was
That's
super cool. We
awesome.
had 8,000 eggs. We had moms and volunteers there decorating it so it didn't look anything like a basketball court.
It's so cool.
And the kids just had a blast.
Yeah.
They had so much fun. But also in the kids' services this year, we had Mary West. Have you guys met Mary?
I have, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so
She's
Mary's a
awesome.
very gifted artist and did a lot of art outreach work in the past with Harvest Church that we merged with, 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
And Mary did a live painting during the storytelling in the kids' ministry. So as they were telling the story of Jesus, his death and his resurrection, she was painting it live.
That's cool.
And then our storytellers were talking about how confusing that must have been that Jesus died between the time he died and he rose again, and how it must have been like, where's Jesus in all of this? And then Mary changed the light that she had shining on her painting to a black light. And all of a sudden you could see Jesus in the middle of the picture that she'd been painting the whole time, but
That's
you couldn't
cool.
see it.
That's so cool.
It
Love
was
it.
so cool.
Bethel does that every week, I think.
every week.
Bethel Church. Yeah.
Okay, we'll add some flags for next year and we'll call it Bethel Easter.
No, she is so talented, though. I think it was 2 Easters ago. Remember, if you've been at the church that long, I know we have a lot of new people, but 2 Easters ago, we did that or it was Good Friday, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it in the main auditorium or something similar, and she helped orchestrate and lead that too. But it was like these massive paintings.
It was
She's so
incredible.
creative.
We
So
had
cool.
one of our students, the gal that runs our support team for our special needs kids, Kristen Abbas, shout out to her too. I was staying next to her in the second service with the kids, and one of our support team boys was sitting in the front row, and he had never sat for a whole teaching before. And he sat and was locked in the entire time watching Mary paint.
That's cool.
And Kristen and I kept looking at each other going, is this happening? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this?
That's awesome.
And it was the first lesson he'd sat for completely and totally taken it in. And it was the heart of it all. It was the gospel message. So it was just, there was just lots of little stories like that with the kids all over the place. And then the 4th and 5th graders hung back for a bit, and their leaders gave their testimonies and told their kids, like, hey, here's why I followed Jesus, and gave our 4th and 5th graders a chance to decide if they wanted to follow Jesus too. So it was cool. Obviously, all the kids had a chance, but we really wanted our 4th and 5th graders to hang back to really think about it a little more.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Hey, let's stick in the next gen department, because I want to tell a quick story on my message on Sunday morning. I talked about the three, main sort of the Simon the Pharisee. I talked about the immoral woman, and I talked about the crowd. But when I got to the part of the immoral woman, I specified that a lot of theologians would say that she was more than likely a prostitute. And then I made this little joke, and I'm like, if you don't know,
your grandma.
If you don't know what that is, give your grandmother a call. She'll tell you. Well, which is hilarious and funny to me. After one of the services, I don't remember which one. It was a little bit of a blur. We had a lot of people here, but I was talking to someone, and their middle school daughter was in the service. And was not sure what that was. And he goes, so we'll get to have that conversation today.
Happy Easter.
That's like every
Happy
Christmas.
Easter. Oh, my goodness. I thought to myself, well, I mean, we're here. I can't take it back. But obviously our middle schoolers, seamless transition here. Our middle schoolers were in the main service yesterday.
Yes, they were.
And so, Anthony, let me throw it over to you. Any cool stories from besides that one, of course?
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, it is.
Top
That's
that.
fantastic.
Just from our middle school, our youth.
I mean, I think we always have a ton. I feel like we've seen not necessarily even the gospel message, but just the power of the gospel we've seen show up just time and time again for probably over a year and a half now. We're getting a lot of new students in. And so what I think is cool, which I have to kind of speak about myself in order to say this next part, but like for me, being now July 11th, I think will be 8 years since I gave my life to Jesus, and it's been just the best years of my life. But Easter and Good Friday feel like the one guaranteed time of year where everything slows down, and I feel sometimes forced to just reflect, not only on, Jesus giving his life and raising from the dead, but me giving my life and Jesus raising me from the dead. And it's just such a big thing for me that it just always forces me to slow down. So now I get to the students, and what's cool is I see the same thing in them. I see that when Good Friday and Easter come up, they seem to joke a little less in service. They seem to be on their phone a little bit less. They seem to pay a little more attention. And what I thought was so cool about this Easter specifically was how many students were involved in everything Easter. Ben Horton and Jameson Corbin, two of our 8th grade students, texted me Saturday night at 9 p.m. and were like, yo, what do you need tomorrow and when do you need us? I was like, that's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. And I was like, well, we're getting there at 6. And they were like, never mind. I was like, okay, all good. But seeing students involved, not just in the kids ministry week in and week out, but doing all of the extra things. We know we work here, but having the body come together to help serve, and whether that's setting up or making it actually happen. One of the best moments for me on Easter Sunday was I walked outside to check it out, and it was at the doors I was greeted by Molly Lang, who is super energetic and loving, and just a great person to encounter first. You're gonna have a good experience. So I see Molly, and then I walk past her and I see Jameson DJing the music, and then I see 150 kids doing a little egg hunt, and I see Hayden Seeger, and who's another student, and another leader with her partnered together, selling, it looked like some ice cream or giving out, what was it they were doing?
Full-size candy bars.
Oh man, that's even better. Full-size candy bars.
And they weren't selling it.
They
had to find
So you could
For
either
an egg,
egg hunt, or if you thought you were too cool for that, you could go on a duck hunt. And if you found a rubber duck with your color and number on it, you could exchange it for a full-size candy
That's
bar.
awesome.
Brilliant.
That's
so fun.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
So fun.
Yeah, so I just thought it was so cool to see, because we don't have middle school services on Easter Sunday, because I think there's something powerful about serving and also being able to attend church as a family. it was just so cool seeing that, like, weren't just like, oh, I don't have service, I'm not going. It was like they were everywhere and they were involved.
Yeah.
It was so cool to see.
Yeah. We'll talk maybe a little bit more about the services as well in just a minute. Before we do, though, one more here. So on Easter Sunday, our parking lot was pandemonium.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was wild.
I don't even know. I can't actually apologize for it because I don't know that there's really much.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Our 9:45 service, we pulled every chair in our building into the auditorium.
Yes.
So all
Literally
the youth
every
chairs,
youth
all
chair.
the extra chairs.
Yes.
We had all the cushioned soft chairs already set up. So every plastic chair we could find.
We gave up on chairs in kids ministry. We're like, grab a seat on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we
And
planned.
so we were packed to the back with people standing in that 9:45. And so my understanding is that some people would have sat on Woodside, that's the street in front of the church,
Yeah.
for 10, 15 minutes as they were
Yeah.
making their way into church that morning.
Yeah.
What a beautiful problem to have. And so I made a couple jokes about it in the 9:45.
Yeah.
Did they laugh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Totally.
We were
good,
like,
'cause
I'll laugh in 10 minutes.
The
5 minutes
the
is cool.
11:30 did not laugh or smile or seem to enjoy any of it.
Well, we'll just shout out Jason Pidala while we're at it then.
Yeah, totally.
The lone
Yeah.
parking
Yes.
lot ranger.
Yes.
Yeah, and so, but we obviously would have had just a slew of new people in the day and people who served to, try to facilitate as much as possible. So, Megan, do you got any fun stories from like new people?
Oh man, I met so many new people. What's really cool is I had the chance to like MC for a minute and I told everybody, hey, if you're new, come and say hi to me. I'll be at the Welcome Center. And what was really cool is I had so many people come and say hi. It was just beautiful to be able to stand there and like people like waiting behind somebody else to say hi, just so that they could like have that connection with somebody. It was just really, really cool.
And ultimately, that is our
Yeah,
heart,
that's what
is
we
that when
want.
people come to church, they feel
Yeah.
that connection in that community. And I want to shout out your team as well for the beautiful He Is Risen backdrop.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
that.
we had some ladies come in on Saturday morning for like an hour. It didn't take long. Now, I set up the letters like 2 weeks before, like was building the letters.
They
which
weren't
was,
quite easy for you, were they, Megan?
No, I'm not a delicate person at all. And if I open a box, it's like destroyed. And so, yeah, these are like styrofoam, and it's like you have to put the little piece into this other little piece. Oh man, it was some
a labor of
work,
love.
but it was beautiful. And the ladies showed up to help, and it was just fantastic. Lauren Torres, thank you. You are fantastic. It was awesome.
Her daughter Addie.
Addie
more
showed
high
up.
schoolers
It
and middle
was
schoolers
Addie's
showed
awesome.
up.
I know. They all came and helped, and it was just awesome. Yeah, great moments.
Beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about the services. Good Friday was a different and unique time. Shout out Dawson, who's behind
Yes.
the camera.
Yes, Dawson.
3 or 4 weeks before the Good Friday service, I sat down with Dawson and Jean. Shout out Jean as well. I mean, just serving so faithfully during this
Yes.
season
Always
of
MVP.
this interim season of us locating a new worship pastor and the team, just the whole team. Everybody stepped up in incredible ways. But
Yeah.
about 3 or 4 weeks before Good Friday, me and Dawson and John sat down at Public Square. Shout out Public Square. Had some good coffee and some good food, and I threw out. I was like, "What if we had a spoken word in the middle of this night?" And it could be on. And we decided it was going to be at that space of the Garden of Gethsemane and ending in peace. And Dawson goes, yeah, I could write that. Yeah. Now, full transparency here. Writing a spoken word poetry is not easy.
hard.
And I didn't know if Dawson actually could do it or if he just said, sure, I'll do that. I didn't know what he had signed up for. I didn't know if he knew what he signed up for. So I was just like, all right, we'll let it roll. And then on Tuesday, I'd asked him a couple times before, and he's like, yeah, it's coming along, but I didn't ask any more details. On Tuesday, he comes to me and goes, hey, man, I think I'm done. I just got to finish the ending, but everything else, I think it's done. And I was like, all right. And Dawson's behind the camera, for those of you who don't know. So he goes, I think it's done. Come in. So I like, can I read it out loud? And he's like, yeah, read it out loud. So I'm reading it out loud, and then it hit me. I was like, oh, my gosh. This is phenomenal.
Yeah.
This isn't
Totally.
like sort of good. I'm like, you've done this before, is what I was thinking. And he finished it that day on the Tuesday, and then was able to do it on Good Friday night service. And honestly, I felt like when we had started the service, Anthony tag team sort of the message thoughts on the night with me. I felt like it was slow to start, but by the time we had got to the spoken word, it felt like it was settled into what the night was. Did you feel the same about that, Anthony?
Yeah, I did. I thought the same thing, which I also think was kind of how we led that. Like starting with praise, like that was big, and I think that even caught people off guard. Like the people who have attended Good Friday services, I think they were like expecting for it to immediately be somber. And so when we're like, hey, we're going to start with praise, like let's thank God for everything he's done in our life and going to do in our life. And it was kind of just like, okay.
So for those who weren't there, what we did is we walked through the Holy Week, essentially. So we started with Sunday, the Palm Sunday, the triumphal entry. Had some props for everything a little bit. But yeah, so it was like on that day they were praising, and then we talked about the clearing of the temple, and then we talked about the garden, the moment of peace, we talked about the crucifixion, and then we came back and we ended it with that Last Supper communion piece. We did not stream that night though, and I don't know if you all received questions about it.
Oh yeah, lots
So
of
many
questions.
people wanted to know.
I had lots of people asking me
Serious
where was the stream at? And what we ended up doing is we moved everything to the middle of the room, and Nathaniel and Lee made sure that we could actually have audio on the night. So also huge shout out to them. But we moved everything in the middle of the room, which means the camera situation was different. And we just honestly, there was no real good way to record the night or stream the night. Yeah. So we didn't.
And when you say middle of the room, what he means if you weren't there was not like middle of the stage. We literally just said forget the stage and moved every single chair in a giant circle, essentially, making it like someone, I can't remember who it was, someone was like, I'm digging the Roman Colosseum look.
Oh, I went
like,
for garden party vibes.
Garden
we
party,
had the lights hanging above the middle part of the room, and it had some Colosseum vibes to it.
Yeah.
It was, but Anthony and some more guys helped like set the chairs up. Pete helped set the chairs up.
Yeah,
Jen helped set the chairs up. I mean, we spent a lot of time setting some chairs up.
A lot of time.
And but honestly, I felt like it was a lot of work leading into it. I felt like it was really good.
So good.
I noticed. There was God had me throw an audible into the night, and we had ordered these nails just to represent the crucifixion.
Yeah.
And I pulled 3 of them out of the pack, and I took them in there, and I was just going to reference them. The point was, it wasn't the nails that held Jesus to the cross; it was his love for us. And in the middle of the song we were doing on peace, I felt like I was supposed to give some of the nails away. And I remember there was a pack in my office. So I leaned over to Anthony. I'm like, hey, go get the rest of the nails out of my office. And he comes back in with them. And I just felt like it was this beautiful moment where people were like, hey, there are some things I need to die to. And they grabbed a nail. And I was able to give a few of them out. And I just gave an encouraging word to a few guys. And I noticed afterwards, one of the guys, I've met with him a couple times. Incredible guy. He's been a part of our church for a couple of years now. I saw him helping break down the chairs, and then even on Easter Sunday, I saw him help serving. He wasn't scheduled, but I saw him help serving, and I was just so encouraged by that moment and that time together.
Yeah. I thought that was a super cool moment too, and I think it speaks something to just the obedience portion of this relationship we have with God. Like, it's easy for us to get on stage and say, you should be obedient. Like, are we actually doing what God says, or are we just sharing it on social media?
It's good.
And I think little things like that are actually big things.
Yeah.
For some people, that's the first time they've ever seen someone say, hey, I'm actually not sticking to the plan. For the people who you handed a nail to, there's always that feeling in the room, at least when I was younger. And I still feel it at times in moments like that where you're like, am I going to get one? Like, wait, is God talking to him about me?
I had 2 guys tell me, dude, I thought you were walking up and handing me something for a second. And then you walked past me, and I was like, whoa,
You're like, thank God, now I don't have to pick up my cross. But I think it was so cool. And like, I was, again, just youth pastor, but thinking through all the students in the room, which was so cool. They sat like 3 rows back, and I encouraged them to move up, so they all moved 1 row up. And then by the time it started, they were all in the front row.
Nice.
Wow.
Which probably sucked for the people behind them because they're all like 6'8" athletes, but whatever. But it was so cool because like these are guys who gave their life to Jesus probably 6 months ago now, got baptized, and are just figuring out what it means to follow God.
Yeah.
And to have a moment like that, I know without a doubt that was their first time seeing anything like that, but it was so impactful. And yeah, I think it just is part of the reason that our Good Friday service specifically felt the way it did, was because that moment on top of every other moment.
And it's not easy to throw out a plan, because when you've planned something and you want an audible in the middle of it, is not always.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I got into the middle of it, to be quite honest, and I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to give these out. I don't know how I'm supposed to give these out.
Yeah.
And there was this beautiful moment when I'm talking about what I feel like they're representing, and just, I can't remember who it was, but one of the ladies just walked up and just put her hand
And
out.
just went, yep.
And it's like she
so
knew.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that just started happening. And then I was like, let me hand out the ones that I felt like I was supposed to real quick. And then by the end of it, I think it was 11 nails that all got handed to people. And I believe God did something pretty powerful and significant. Even in people who didn't receive a nail, we had everyone walked away with a communion cup made from olive wood, hand carved. These beautiful cups. I've been to Israel twice, and I've said this before. I want to take our church back to Israel. I think it's a powerful experience.
Yeah.
But I've been twice, and every time I've had the opportunity to take communion in these olive wood cups, and I was like, let's do that. That would be incredible.
cool.
And so we got them. Shout out Paul and Maggie Gearing and the team.
that's so
They help organize all of our communion elements, and we were able to take communion together in those cups, and people were able to walk away with them.
Did you know that the juice would stain the cup?
No, but someone
Because-
even cooler.
Man, symbolically, that rocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we put the juice in the cup right before it started. So the grape juice sat in the wood cup for an hour.
Yeah.
And so they were like red stained inside the cup. And so multiple people brought that up to me.
Cool. Was it grape juice? Word on the street was it was cranberry?
It didn't taste good.
Listen,
Whatever it was.
I had the same conversation, and I'm like,
Oh my
are we
gosh.
complaining that the communion cup that represents Jesus' blood, it didn't taste? It was too bitter.
No, I know I said that jokingly, but I did. I
Oh, no,
will
I
say
had that
when I
with
did it,
multiple.
I was locked in the moment, but I was also like, that was a different taste than what we normally have.
it sat in an olive wood porous cup
Yeah.
for an hour. That's probably what it was.
That's probably it.
It's ultra symbolic now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think it was, that whole moment was incredible. Like even the communion, I think when I drove home, I kind of do this thing every Good Friday where I drive home in silence, because I just feel like it's just so dialed into like a state of like reflection and like thankfulness, but not just like more so the reflection than the thankfulness. Like I'll allow myself to go and think back more on who Anthony was before he followed Jesus in moments like that, because it makes me even more thankful that Jesus rose again, and like I said earlier, rose me from the dead. And so like being in my car on the way home in silence, I was thinking, and I was like, man, how lost does communion get in just modern church? Like it's so powerful, and it's so easy for us for Rice City, we do it probably now more often than I can remember, but even then, like, it's so easy for me in a youth program to, like, honestly never once in my brain go, we should do communion. Like, we should talk about communion and take communion. Like, it's so powerful.
Yeah. And I mean, the truth is, biblically speaking, communion is something we should do often.
Yeah.
Like,
If not weekly,
yeah. And so it's not reserved for just big moments like Good Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
We do it once a month as a church,
Yeah.
as many people would know. I know some churches who have it every single Sunday available. But the reality is, it's one of those things you don't take lightly. It is powerful to be reminded of the significance and the sacrifice, and what Christ has done for each of us.
Yeah.
I think life groups would be a great setting to practice a weekly communion.
Yeah.
It's actually closer to what you would
The biblical
experience in a
model.
biblical
Yeah.
model.
Yeah.
What we do for communion is like a mini version
Yeah,
of
even
it.
in your own life, like just implementing it. Like I used to do Sabbath Fridays, and they've kind of slipped as just my schedule's changed so much. But like thinking to myself, like how great would it be to bring that back, but add some sort of communion type in. But I don't know. It's like because it's cool. It ties us, like every single generation, all of the things that have changed over time. The church has remained. Like Jesus is alive.
Yeah.
And so like one of the things that ties us to every single generation of church is communion. Because even the way that we do services has changed just through technology and modern, you know, all that stuff. But like communion has not. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if it's grape juice or cranberry juice. Like the idea is the same. And I think that was so cool. Like that was what I had, like kind of the moment I had on Good Friday was being like, this is literally what Jesus did.
Yeah. Wow.
The exact thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're doing that right now. And it was so cool to like look around and see everyone involved in the moment too. Like, you know, youth ministries, it's a different beast because kids have highs and lows just like everyone, but adults like to, they're a little bit more experienced at hiding the highs and lows, or mainly the lows. Mm-hmm. Students, they wear it. You can see it. And so a lot of these students, they have lows that ultimately lead them to accept Jesus. And then when things balance out or get better, they really start to struggle because they're like, well, I don't feel like I need him now. Mm-hmm. And it was cool because in this moment, it was these students who I think, you know, don't want to speak for them, but I could say they're doing a lot better. So they might be in a spot where they're like, well, now I'm struggling to find a reason why I need God. But to like look around during communion, I kind of did a little prayer peeking is what I call it. Like one of these, you know, like I kind of looked around and I saw, and they were like just as locked in as I was, and like as all the adults were. And like you could just see that they were like taking in the moment. I thought it was so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then, so Easter Sunday morning, moving forward to that, as we, you know, I don't know how much time we have on the podcast. We don't have a timer today, so we can just go forever. I'm kidding, we won't. Right. But Easter Sunday morning, we were pretty packed around the building. We had, you know, well over 1,500 people in attendance on the day. We had 10 people give their life to Christ that let us know about it, and maybe there were more on top of that. And I'm sure there were some children and kids ministry, some 4th and 5th graders as well. And so we have people, you know, like it was a monumental day in people's lives. And I think it was a beautiful time to be reminded of, you know, when the church gathers together and our heartbeat for reaching the lost and being reminded of the sacrifice of Christ, but not just the sacrifice, the resurrection. And so I think there's just a beauty of this season of the year in the church, you know, quote unquote calendar, to be reminded of the gospel, the good news. The story of the gospel is interesting because the disciples didn't figure it all out till after Jesus died and resurrected. Yeah. So they lived it firsthand. I always think about that. It's powerful. They lived it firsthand. He resurrects, and all of a sudden it's like all the pieces come together.
Yeah, now they know for sure.
And we get to live in the reality of the resurrection from day one. Yeah. And I don't know, it was just such a beautiful time. I'm so thankful for the church, so thankful for the opportunity we had to have so many people volunteer and serve to impact our kids, our youth. Yeah. For those that were impacted through serving, through attending, through just general connection. I think it's the heartbeat behind Easter is something as a church we should never lose. It shouldn't just be something we reflect on once a year. It's for sure. Integral to the gospel. So it was a beautiful time. So thankful for all the staff who served. Everybody put in more hours than probably... just a lot of hours, a lot of extra days, and totally. Our volunteers did the same. And so, thank you everyone who made that possible. And any closing thoughts before one more thing? No, all right, beautiful. A couple things as we wrap up today. One, Mariah won't tell you, so I'll tell you. This upcoming Sunday, Pastor Mariah is preaching. Yeah. So can't wait for that. Looking forward.
We're going to pick up right where you left off.
Perfect.
Right after the resurrection.
Love it.
Keep it going.
Love it. And so she's going to be preaching this weekend. Super excited about that. A couple like cool updates from the church that we want to make sure you're aware of. One, we have received as a church the opportunity to add devotional content to the YouVersion Bible app. The YouVersion Bible app is the largest Bible app, to my knowledge, in the world. Billions of downloads at this point in time.
It's the Bible app.
Yeah. And so we got invited to and offered the opportunity to add devotional content. And our very first devotional went live the morning of this recording. So it is live now. By the time you hear this, it is live and it is up. And so if you are a part of the YouVersion Bible app community and you're in our church, you've probably already marked Rice City as your church. If you haven't, you can do that. But get into the Bible app, search up Rice City Church. You'll see our logo. Click on it. You'll see our devotional. Yeah. It is on the series I preached just over this past month called Truth Intention. And so I would encourage you, jump on the Bible app, start that plan, read through it, rate it, let us know, share it with your friends. And we'll be continuing over the course of the future to be adding devotional content on a regular basis, and very excited about that opportunity. And so we got some cool stuff coming up ahead. We got Mariah preaching, the YouVersion Bible app, and our men's retreat is just in 2 weeks' time. And so loving life.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then it'll be summer before you know it.
It'll be summer.
Whew.
Mm-hmm.
San Diego summer.
We're under 100 days away from summer camp as well.
Oh, man.
Last Wednesday at youth was the 100 days on the dot. And so 3 of our girls who have been to camp showed up right away and were like, 100 days till camp. And I was like, yeah. The second one was like 100 days till camp. And I was like, all right. And the third one was like, Pastor Anthony. It's okay. I lied. They don't call me Pastor Anthony. They're like, Anthony, 100 days till camp. And I was like, all right, settle down. I got to make sure everything's in order for this. Like, let's stop reminding me.
It was exciting the first time. Now I'm panicking.
Yeah, I was freaking out.
You're like, y'all are making me nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many, just such a great season in church life.
Awesome.
Totally.
And if you are newer, we got a newcomers social happening this weekend. If you're
27th, yeah.
the
That's my
27th,
favorite thing, man.
if you listen to the podcast when it comes out, it's this weekend. If you listen to it a week later,
You missed
we
it.
just had it and it was awesome.
It was great. Sorry you weren't there.
But yeah, so many cool things happening
Yeah.
in the life of our church. So I would encourage you, get plugged in, get connected. And just thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Digging Deeper. We'll see you here on Sundays or on the next podcast. Have a great day.